Hey, what is up everybody? How are you guys doing? Thanks for checking out this video. Support for the channel is awesome. And I want to talk about something one of my followers brought up to me. So I appreciate the comment. But talking about earthquakes, some of the natural disasters and stuff like that. I think each natural disaster kind of has its own place for its own video. And I actually recorded this thinking I could probably cram everything into it, and I just really wasn't happy with the way it came out. So I just want to kind of touch specifically on earthquakes. This has been ramping up a lot more lately. It's definitely been in the news more because it is kind of an important thing and it's newsworthy. Normally it's not newsworthy. But I think the big one was the one off the coast of Russia that had a tsunami warning that they put on it for the coast of California. Everybody freaked out, and it is a popular subject right now. One thing I can speak on behalf of, I've been through a few of them, a few major ones, and it's been kind of two different sides of the game. The first one was in the Philippines, I believe, and I was in a high-rise building. And I'm just looking at the toilet water, and the toilet water is sloshing back and forth. But other than that, I didn't even really feel anything. And I had to find out kind of during, but after that, hey, that was a pretty big earthquake that hit. And yeah, it was an absolute nothing burger. That is because they build things to code in earthquake areas to be able to take the earthquakes, for the most part. Asia is really big with this. That was back in '79 when I experienced that. So even back then they had buildings sitting on ball bearings and stuff like that. So they're very aware to it. The second one that I went through was in California. I lived in California multiple times and went through quite a few earthquakes there, mostly in the Los Angeles area. But we got them. We got them. When I was in school, the main thing was duck and cover. Just get under your desk, cover your head, get in the fetal position, and hope for the best. Realistically, that's probably the best thing that you can do. But here's another example. I was in California. We were in a McDonald's, and I was still pretty young, and started feeling rumble, a little bit of shaking. The plants started swaying back and forth when they actually had plants in McDonald's. But the thing is it happened so very fast. Very fast. It's like by the time you realize it, you have to think about what it is. And then once you think about what it is, it's pretty much too late at that point. Where you are is where you're going to be. That was over in like 10 seconds max, the whole deal with that earthquake. And that was either the 5 or the 6. I forget which one was which. I think it was the 5 or 5.3 or something like that. That was that case. There were a couple people that went under tables. Most of the people just stood there. You know, I don't have a very clear memory of it, but I do remember it. So where you're at is where you're going to be and where you're going to ride it through. Now, if you can pay attention ahead of time, if it looks like you're going into a masonry building or an older building, maybe keep in mind to be close to a door. If you're able to get out, because the building's what's going to kill you. Now, if you're in a taller building that might be older, definitely finding a place on the inside center, something that's going to be able to hold up a lot of weight. Stairwells, basements, a storm shelter if the building has a storm shelter, or even in a last case scenario, just try to get up against a wall that's in the middle of the building if possible, and kind of brace yourself up against that, because that's probably going to be load bearing to some extent. Depends on the architecture of the building and the way it was designed, but is a quick go-to if you got to think in a second and a half or 2 seconds. That could be a go-to. Now, when it comes to homes, houses, where you're living in an apartment, house, whatever, you're probably going to know if it's coded to earthquakes. If there's things in place for earthquake prevention or safety, basically. As far as I know, homes don't have a lot of that. Commercial buildings, they do. So if you're in a commercial building in San Francisco, if you're in a building in San Francisco or something like that, it's probably coded to be able to take an earthquake. If you're in a house, probably not the case. So ahead of time, if you can, try to find a predetermined area that's going to be the safe place in the house. And that's going to apply for a lot of different things. It could be for earthquakes, it could be for tornadoes, it can be for a lot of different things. Find that place. A lot of people go to the bathroom. In a house, you have plumbing that's going down underground. It's going to stick to the ground very well. That could be good or bad in an earthquake. I'm not sure. It might be the ride of a lifetime. But a lot of people say get there. For my house, we have a bed that's about 3 feet tall. Next to the bed is going to be the go-to place. If things start falling, if the walls start coming in, if it's a tornado or something like that, the bed is going to give some protection. It's going to crush down, yes. But it's going to give you a little bit of breathing room, so to speak. So that's my go-to. It's quick, it's centrally located. We can get there within a second or two from anywhere in the house. But you got to act quick. If you do have one of those places, it would be a good idea to get some sort of prying device, a crowbar, like one that I have up on the wall here. You can't see it too good, but I got like a 3-4 foot crowbar, heavy duty. That's going to help you escape. That's going to get you out of this situation. It's going to be all about get out or bringing somebody in for help. That's very awkward to have something like that laying around a bathroom or something, but hey, you got to do what you got to do. The next thing would be a whistle, some sort of noise-making device. So if there's a crew that's out trying to find people in a earthquake disaster area, being able to make noise is going to be the #1 way to get rescued. You could have beacons, an emergency distress beacon or something like that. If you have a GPS, like a hiking GPS or something like that, they have them built into that. Or a cell phone. If you have your cell phone in your pocket at the time, you're going to be able to call. Hopefully, towers are going to be up. But those things definitely have a way of communication, a way to pry yourself out if possible, and most importantly, a noise-making device. A whistle is easy to keep next to your bed or in the bathroom or something like that. So that's a pretty good one right there. But as far as prepping goes, you're at where you're at. I mean, if you're driving in traffic, that's going to be the place to go. Oh, I did want to mention, if you're in an older building that's kind of a high rise, not getting outside is going to be the best thing because you can have debris coming down. Never good to have 2,000 pounds of bricks land on your head, so maybe inside is probably the best for that. That is why I was saying that. But yeah, really, where you're at is where you're at. There isn't a whole lot you can do in this situation. Always remember there's going to be aftershocks, potentially. So just because it calms down does not mean the storm is over. Yeah, the aftershocks did a lot of damage, like over in the Middle East. We've had them in Turkey, Afghanistan, these different places. And it's just taken the whole city down with these earthquakes. Here in the U.S., in the Western world, we don't build like that. We're not building out of third world materials and things like that. We're just a little bit higher tech. Now, if you go to Abu Dhabi, yeah, they're pretty high tech. Qatar, they're pretty high tech. They've thought these things out, hopefully. But yeah, it's all going to determine on where you're at. Another good place, I'm jumping around a little bit as I always do, but next to the bed is my spot. But another place is going to be in between two vehicles or inside a vehicle. Garages seem to be the last standing in most cases. It might collapse down a little bit when the whole house is gone, but you always have your cars. In between the cars is always a good thing. You don't want to get very close to it because there's a chance of buckling and stuff like that of the metal that could hurt you, kill you, different things. So if you have the time to think, next to a quarter panel, basically a third from the front of the car and a third from the back of the car is going to be a pretty stable area. There's a cage built around the passengers in a car for extreme safety. You can drop them off a cliff and pretty much be okay. You can get in high-speed accidents and pretty much be okay. Front of the car might be gone, back of the car might be gone, and you're going to be left with a ball of metal by design. And that's your best chance of being safe. So when it comes to really, well, wind-related, destruction-related natural disasters, everything but flooding, basically, your vehicle and next to your vehicle is going to be good protection. Don't go under your vehicle. It is going to squat a lot, especially if you have the top of a building come down on it. Can crush you, can kill you. So location, location, location. Quick thinking, that is what's going to get you. You're not going to see it coming. It's just going to happen. So yeah, thinking fast, getting up next to a wall under some sort of support, or next to a vehicle or something like that, or even out into a parking lot or in the middle of the street or something like that, whatever it takes to get away from falling debris, whether it's inside the building or outside the building. So yeah, earthquakes aren't really fun. They're definitely interesting in a lot of ways, but unfortunately, you don't have a lot of warning. There isn't a whole lot you can prepare for because it's just a complete random thing that lasts about seconds, 10 seconds maybe. Some of them obviously can last longer, some of them shorter, just a quick rumble and it's over. So quick thinking, being on your toes, and getting to a good safe spot. Hopefully, most preppers don't carry whistles with them. Most people, that is not an everyday carry item, so it's just going to be quick thinking, and you are where you are. If you do have the means to have a couple preps in place for it, and you happen to be in that place, that might be a lifesaver. But yeah. Another thing I want to add, the United States is way overdue for a major earthquake. California has been pretty quiet. There's been a couple, but nothing game-changing. I remember the 92, I think it was, the year earthquake where the bridges collapsed. Lots of people died, lots of people lost their lives. It's been nothing since then. They're due. Also, I moved to Missouri and didn't realize I was moving kind of close to a fault line, the New Madrid fault line. A lot of people say it's due for a big eruption of an earthquake. Eruption, I think volcanoes. But of course, anytime something's quiet for a while, people expect it to be any day. Any day it's going to happen, and it might be 1,000 years later. So I'm not really worried about it too much, but I'm kind of on my wits of paying attention to rumbles and stuff like that. So if I do start feeling something building up really quick, I am going to get to a safe place. But it isn't the top of my priority. I'm still about 170 miles, 190 miles or something like that from New Madrid, where the fault line is. So I don't have a whole lot to worry about here. If you are closer to that, or you are close to a fault line, be aware. The activity is ramped up enough to where there might be some places that have been quiet for hundreds of years that are going to wake up. Seems like the Ring of Fire is waking up. Volcanoes, earthquakes, all this stuff. It's kind of becoming a thing, you know. Might as well just add in the murder hornets, you know. I mean, what the hell? Why not? Everything else is going on. So, yeah, that's kind of my take on earthquakes. Be vigilant, be on your toes, pay attention to everything, situational awareness, know your buildings, what you're dealing with when it comes to an earthquake, and that's going to give you the best chance. So I will go ahead and leave it with that. So I appreciate you watching. Thank you for checking out this video, and I will talk to you guys next time. Till then, peace.